Mark. Thank you for being with us today. We're just going to jump in and talk about your work and just who you are. So I will pass it to you, Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark A.C. Brown. Had to add my initials because my name is very dull. Yeah, I'm predominantly a screenwriter. I've directed a couple of feature films as well. And yeah, it's been lots and lots of writing for the most part. And very happy to be part of the festival.
Awesome. We're happy to have you and have your work featured on our platform. So one question I have for you is what's one important thing that you feel like people should know about you and your story?
Um, Important thing about me. Um, that's a good question. Well, me personally, I don't know. I don't think there's anything that important that people should know about me. Writing is pretty much my life. Never had a real job. Kind of threw myself into this at a pretty young age and wanted to be a director first, but then fell into theatre and fell in love with the writing of it all, really, and fell in love with words. So yeah, I love words, and um, I suppose yeah, one of the things people should know is I'm a very fast writer. It's always a good thing to know about me. If anyone wants to hire me, I get it done quick. Um, and Yeah, films is my first love. I kind of did theatre for a long time, and that was great. And it's very different to doing film. The sensibility is completely different, but and I can write a lot more words with theatre. But film is what I love, and so yeah, I'd say that's in regards to this, that's probably the most important thing to know about me.
Buster gets to his feet halfway down the rubble and turns to see his assailant, two men in their 20s. One is scarred clearly from the war, while the other, the guy from the Buster's street rubble, obviously wasn't able being as skinny and underfed as he is. Buster looks at them in the eye and he sees the darkness. The soldier steps forward, brandishing the metal pipe. Soldier, you shouldn't have come back. Roth. Buster is surprised at the sound of his name. Buster. How do you know my name, son? Been speaking to the war widows. Have you? Skinny. This is our place now. Your home has fallen. Buster sees that something isn't right here. Buster. It's fallen plenty of times, mate. That's the thing, innit? Doesn't know how to die. Soldier/demon, it will learn. Buster squares up. Buster, I've been fighting people with the same idea. Except they add more ambition, and you know what? We shat 'em. So you and your piddly shitwankers can fuck off, okay? The soldier, smiling malevolently, comes for Buster. Buster flicks up a rock at him. It hits the soldier in the balls. Buster lamps him and he tumbles down the rubble pile. He turns to the skinny one. Buster. Come now, mate. This isn't going to end how you want. Skinny, this is only the beginning. The skinny man comes for Buster with a small knife. He is quicker than Buster expects, and Buster stumbles. Skinny dives on him and they roll down the hill. Buster ends up on top at the bottom. He bashes the man's hand against a rock, making him drop the knife. He then locks eyes with the man. Cut to Buster's vision, the East End as it is, bombed out. Except smoke and flames rise out of the rubble. The sky is dark. The smoke forms into demonic shapes. Skinny. We are already here. The East End has fallen. The smoke floats to some figures. East End residents mourning. Their many losses. The demon smoke enters them, and their eyes light up with evil intent. Buster snaps out of it. Skinny. Join us. Buster. Fuck that chum. The soldier reappears. He brings down the metal pipe onto Buster, but misses as Buster moves. The pipe crushes the head of the skinny man instead. But he doesn't die. He looks at Buster through his caved-in head. Skinny, you have come home to hell, Buster. Buster, nah, mate.
What inspired you to write the tale of the East End Exorcist?
It was a real spur of the moment thing. I was actually at a children's party, and so I've got two little kids, and they were littler when I thought of the idea anyway, which is like 2 or 3 years ago. We were at one of their friends' parties in Whitechapel in East London, Jack the Ripper territory, and they live in these converted almshouses. I don't know if you know what almshouses are, but you know it's where the people with less money back in the day, like a couple of 100 years ago and stuff, used to live and used to get given alms for the poor, which is like, you know, money and food and stuff. Anyway, and usually run by a local church. And in these beautiful little cottages, though, and in this little gated community in Whitechapel, right on the high street, and at the back there was a chapel. And I asked the mum of the kid whose party it was. I was like, what goes on there then? Does the chapel still get used? And they went, oh well, it's mostly for Alcoholics Anonymous, for meetings for them. But every once in a while we hear some kind of weird shouting, which apparently is an exorcist who comes in and performs exorcisms in there. And I was like, huh? What? Really? And they were like, yeah, apparently local church just every once in a while has to perform the odd exorcism. So obviously that got my mind raging with ideas, because I was like, wow, it's like, so an exorcist in the middle of the East End. And the East End's got obviously a really interesting history with World War II, that it was the hardest hit place by the Blitz, where it was just bombed to the ground, so much of it. And basically also, with Jack the Ripper and with the Blitz, and then with the crime wave of the 60s and 70s with the Cray twins and all that, there's been so much darkness in that area of London for such a long time that I was thinking maybe there's something for my story. There's like this presence in the East End of London that is sort of feeding this sort of negative energy, but it's also an incredibly communal place, and it's a very generational place. People tend not to leave there, but at least they didn't used to. Now it's becoming very gentrified, but yeah, it used to be that you would own your shop and your kids would work there and their kids would work there and all that kind of stuff, and so I kind of came up with the idea of this generational family of exorcists, of who'd been doing it basically since World War II, since the Blitz, since like that kind of disaster for the area kind of kicked off a real negative energy that allowed this evil force to kind of start insidiously weaving its way into East London. I just went from there really, and I just kind of drew upon, because I live in East London, that I kept drew up on my experiences and my knowledge of all the local oddities and people that live here, and the local areas of all the churches and all the markets and all the stuff. It's a very rich area, so, and like from a creative point of view, and it just fed itself really. It was good. It was great fun to write, and yeah, I had the idea of it as a film at first, but then my friend read it and he said this could be a TV series, because there's so much richness and so much kind of scope to push this world as far as really far. So I kind of turned the feature into a pilot, and so I've got first 2 episodes. I've got the pilot, which you've read, and I've got one more episode written. But yeah, it was really good fun anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I know a little bit of the history of like the east side or East End. I think that's like our like American term for things, the East Side of things. But like the East End. So I was like, wow, like this makes one, it makes so much sense, and it's the blend of like kind of like this kind of supernatural world of like, oh, I don't really understand like, demons and all the things, but I'm also like curious because it's like if you think about like, generational like kind of like stuff, right, being built upon like like kind of like negativity and the stuff that's like kind of formed in people, right, like from the experience of like what's happening on the land. I mean that it's all the same thing, right? So it's all like
Yeah.
relative, and I think that's really really creative. And so like for this piece, have you done other pieces like this, or is this kind of is your realm more supernatural, or?
I mean, I write a lot of horror, so a lot of my like paid work that I get is writing horror. My next feature film that's hopefully coming out early next year, I think that's a full on horror with like demons and stuff, and then the one after that as well is a kind of a twin horror. So yeah, I've got a big background of horror, short films that I did that were um so this was kind of easy to fall into. It was actually what I hadn't really done before is kind of a proper London film. I kind of never write for London so much because my sensibilities are either like American, I quite like writing American, or Scotland, because half my family is from Scotland. My partner and my kids are half Scottish and all that. So we're up in Scotland all the time, and I love all the folklore from up there, and I love all the landscapes. And so I've been writing a lot of Scottish stuff. So the East End is not something that I've ever tapped into before. And so they're trying to get the reality and the supernatural thing. That was kind of new for me. And that was good fun. I mean, it's depending on who you ask. Someone got annoyed. One of my friends, most of my friends who've read it, who are in the industry, they've all really liked it. But one though was he said he was like this. He didn't like the representation of the East End, and I'm like, well, I live here, and I
You're
know
like,
these people. Yeah,
I
I think he's like, you don't live here, so but you can't please everyone.
know.
So
Definitely.
yeah, but it gave me food for thought just in case I was getting it wrong. But yeah, so that was something that I'd never kind of tried before, getting the real East End down. It's such a unique place. There's nowhere else like the East End of London. So it's the most diverse borough of London.
Mm.
And so to combine all these many cultures and this history with the future, with the Canary Wharf, which is like the financial district, which is super modern and clean, whereas Whitechapel's like an old market town with loads of history and big Bangladeshi culture there now as well. So it's such a big melting pot that trying to get all that is the challenge really.
Yeah, wow. I really I love that you represented that. And also this was a new kind of area for you, right? Like saying that you talked American and Scottish, but this was something new. And the fact that like thinking of it as a series. Maybe there is other series that kind of like come out of this. So I think that's really awesome. Would you say that, or what would you say was something like unexpected that you um, gained from just writing this piece?
Um, Unexpected. I don't know. It's always a surprise where inspiration comes from and where stories take you. Like I kind of wanted to keep it like in this sort of like market town environment. Like the old
Mhm.
markets of the East End. But I kind of found myself wandering further afield because again, like I said, it's a very rich place and all the little towns. So there's like Whitechapel and then there's Shadwell, Limehouse, which is where I live, and Wapping and Bethnal Green and Mile End. all these, they're all next to each other. They're all like within, like a 3 mile radius. But each place is quite distinct from the next, like Limehouse and Wapping are on the river. So they're kind of old factory kind of places, old, where all the stuff used to get loaded off the things. And then, Whitechapel is like I say, market town. Mile End's just a big road. Bethnal Green's an up and coming sort of trendy area, but with loads of churches and stuff in it. So it was just I kept finding unexpected things around every corner, really. Like I didn't want it to be like a specifically religious story, but when you're dealing with exorcisms, you
Yeah.
kind of have to bring religion into it. And again, because there's such a mishmash of religions in the area, I kind of it was, I guess it was just it was unexpected seeing the sort of similarities among the religions and the differences, and trying to kind of weave my tale through them, and just the weird little inspirations that I got, like the woman who kind of paints these premonitions and visions and stuff, and how I came her character, I kind of just all of a sudden it came to me that her wrists dislocate when she's painting, so she could do these mad things and stuff and all that. I don't know, that just these little weird things just pop into your head as you're going along, and it's like, so I guess that's kind of unexpected. These inspirations that I never kind of would have even thought up until like went down these odd little alleyways.
Were you inspired by just kind of like walking and like seeing different people? Like how did you come up with your characters in that way?
Yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, I remember like just going on my experience of walking to the gates of the almshouse, and because I start the film in the chapel of that almshouse, because I just obviously as soon as I was there, I was just like, oh, I've got an idea for an opening of this very specifically East End exorcism that's going on with all these, because obviously your standard exorcism is loads of Latin and loads of like priests and all this kind of stuff, whereas he's more kind of, and I suppose you've got your John Constantine's kind of stuff, Hellblazer things, but I didn't want to copy Hellblazer either. I wanted it to be a bit more kind of specifically like East End. Um, so yeah, it just all kind of came together really, and just walking around, because I know the area so well now, because I walk everywhere. I hardly ever get public transport within the area, so just finding all these places that I find interesting. I take loads of pictures, loads of photos every day of things that I find interesting, and there's always something at the back of my mind for a location for a film. I see everything through the prism of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Even like my walking pace is like how fast I would see a camera going in my head. So, it's
Cool.
everything is a film.
That's awesome. It's cool to have that vision, right? Of just like, yeah, this angling and you see the bus go by this way, like at this point
Yeah,
of the day.
that's true. Yeah, my therapist tells me it's called hypervigilance,
Yeah.
where, and filmmaking is a sort of a way of ordering the kind of input that I seem to absorb. It's because like if I haven't got a film to stick it on, I get kind of anxious and stuff. So having a film to order these stimuli is kind of good for my brain.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's great for your brain and it's great for the things that you produce and, for us as we're like, consuming it. So I mean, I appreciate all the like overstimulation that has inspired like this work. Well, one thing, would you say like, what are you currently working on, and you want people to know about?
I guess the one thing I want people to know about, particularly in America, is my film Dead on the Vine, which came out on DVD across the US and Canada in May. So you can buy that on in stores all across the country, and you can get it online on DVD. It'll be on streaming later in the year in America. But right now, yeah, you can find the DVD for all those people who still like physical media, because it was such a great thing. My first film that I directed, we didn't get DVD, and I was sad because I love DVDs. So yeah, seek that out and get yourself a copy and review it online if you could. So that's Dead on the Vine. It's released by Dark Arts Entertainment, which for any horror lovers out there, that's Brian Yuzna's company. He directed the film Society, he produced Reanimator, and strangely produced Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So yeah, mix of a career. And then I've got a new horror film coming out. I'm not sure when yet, but that's still just been finished off, called Video Killed the Radio Star.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
yeah, it was so I was hired to write that one. One of my best friends directed it though, so that was really cool. So that's kind of a demonic horror set in a radio station on New Year's Eve, 1979, when a radio station kind of gets attacked away by like a demon. So it's not like The Omen crossed with talk radio. So that's almost finished, and that hopefully will be coming out early next year. So that stars Luke Brandon Field from the Interview with the Vampire TV series, and Harriet Keynes from Bridgerton. And so hopefully that'll be out soon. That's directed by Brad Watson, he's got a film out in America right now called is it called The Bayou or Gator Creek? Not sure if it's which one it's which. It's called one thing one place and one thing another. I think it's called Gator Creek anyway. It's a big cool alligator horror. So that's good fun. So seek that out if you see that anywhere. Other than that, yeah, there's a few short films knocking around. They're not over in America yet. They're all just like coming out over here. So yeah, Dead on the Vine though. That's my main thing. That's for the Americans out there. That's all the DVD lovers. Go to your nearest store or your nearest computer and grab a copy. That'd be great.
Yeah, I definitely will check it out. It sounds really cool. And we will share it, as you know, on our platform, but I'll check.
Thank you.
How can people get in contact with you, or reach out to you if they want to hire you or collaborate? What's the best method?
I guess this day and age, and you can either look me up on the usual like LinkedIn or whatever, because everyone uses that. But like, yeah, I guess Instagram, Mark A.C. Film, and I've got a website, so markacbrown.com, that you can find my contact details and stuff on, and more examples of my work and all the stuff that I've done, the festivals, awards, etc.
And
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Mark ACB Film, and I've just joined TikTok, so that's horrifying. But please follow me on there because it's good for my films. So there'll be lots of interesting film content on there, hopefully. And like I say, I've got a website. If I didn't get that before, that's markacbrown.com. Those are all the good places to find me.
well, awesome. Well, make sure you just get onto the websites and TikToks and follow Mark. Is there anything else you would want the people to know?
No, just go to the cinema,
Yeah.
because one of the projects that we're developing, me and Brad, who directed Gator Creek and directed my film Video Killed the Radio Star, we're kind of trying to set up a new way of doing things that hopefully will be good for cinema. Like there's a few films that have been kind of skipping a few steps, shall we say, and getting cinematic releases like Terrifier and stuff, Terrifier 2 and 3 and stuff, and a few other films. And because we want the cinematic experience. That's what we grew up with, cinema being our favorite thing in the whole world, and to lose that would be disastrous for humanity. So yeah, go to the local cinema, see your films, see all the weird films. I love Marvel, I love James Bond, I love big films, but there's a million other films out there that need that need your help. Marvel doesn't need your help. So go and see them.